Horror movies are great. It's what I've realized in the past year. A few years ago, if my parents were watching a horror movie in the living room, I would cover my ears, look away from the screen, and do what I had to do. But now, I'm solid. The very first horror movie I ever watched was, I don't know, probably Coraline or something. Now, hearing all the people my age say that Coraline used to give them nightmares was crazy, because I didn't really remember that movie being that scary. But then I started to think a little more, and I realized I don't remember this movie at all. The only thing that came to my mind was the button eyes, the drip, and this big breasted woman. So last month, I decided to watch this movie, and I could see how this could traumatize a child. But now you're probably asking, how does this correlate to the video? This movie is probably one of my favorite pieces of horror I've ever consumed, right next to like The Twilight Zone and I guess like Binge Round. This movie is timeless, and you may not know this, but it became before your Jasons, your Michael, and all of them. And you can be sure it got milked just as much as them. I feel like nobody really talks about the other films though, and it's probably for a good reason. One of my favorite things about this movie is that things kind of just happen. An example of this is like 6 minutes in, when Franklin, one of the main characters, goes outside to pee, and whatever this is happens. Oh shit. And then 7 minutes later, this happens.
Ow, what are you doing to yourself?
Now, some of y'all might be wondering, who is this? Well, Leatherface is a family man, which I didn't even know till I watched the whole movie. I always thought it was just him chilling by himself, but no, he has 2 brothers and a grandpa. And I also didn't know that Leatherface is, he's dumb. Like, I wasn't expecting him to be a mastermind or anything, but I also wasn't expecting him to just not have a brain. In fact, I don't think anyone in this family has one. All of them belong in a classroom with 2 teachers. Now, Leatherface might not have a brain, but he does have that drip. Towards the end of the movie, Leatherface and the gang have a dinner with Sally, the main girl. And you know Leather had to get right. Also, can we just talk about this dinner scene for a minute? If you live in an apartment and get to this part, I suggest you switch to the phone ASAP, because Sally does not stop screaming from here till the end of the movie. Huh? But that's also what makes this as the most memorable part of the movie for me. As many iconic parts that there are in this movie, when someone brings up Texas Chainsaw, this will always be the first thing that pops up into my mind. From the constant screaming to the uncomfortable camera shots, every horror movie should have a scene like this. One that just makes the audience feel uncomfortable and uneasy. A while back, I was on Letterboxd and I saw Kazuma say that horror movies need to go back to being hopeless and miserable. And I feel like this scene embodies that. It's just hopeless and full of despair. Every one of these actors did a great job with this part, especially considering the conditions they were under. It took them over 24 hours to get this one part. And Marilyn Burns, the actor for Sally, ended up having several bruises after the scene, and the cut we see she gets on her finger is real. They sliced her finger open and Grandpa Sawyer is sucking on real blood. A take that I saw about Leatherface that I always thought was interesting was that Leatherface isn't really the bad guy. He's just trying to protect his home. At first I could never take this serious, and then I just thought about it for a second. Yo, they kinda spitting. I mean, he was really just chilling in his house, and all these people wanna come and disturb him. They could've just let the man be with this chicken. Now he might have a couple screws loose, but I mean, hey, that's why we love him. I consider Texas Chainsaw to be a masterpiece, and Leatherface is definitely my favorite horror mascot compared to the other. Granted, I've only seen like the first movie, so yeah. The movie also inspired some of my favorite horror games, so thanks for that. If you haven't seen this movie, I would definitely recommend it, of course. I also do plan on watching the other films in this franchise and making videos on them, but I'm kind of scared for what's to come because I've heard it's only down here from here. But anyways, I wanted to make this video a while back when the game like first came out, but I just never did. But recently I've been watching a lot of Redline, Pointless Hub, Cosmonaut, and just people of that nature. At first I didn't really know how to approach this video. You might be able to tell because it might seem like I'm just talking about a whole lot of nothing, but I appreciate you for watching nonetheless. So please subscribe, like, and I hope to see you in the next video.